Hi everyone, this is Killshot from 99 Gaming, and this is The Walking Dead. Actually, this is Fear the Walking Dead, Episode 12, Reactions and Recap. It's a tough one to get going. I'm so psyched up. I'm ready to see The Walking Dead in October. But we are going to do our reactions. We're going to do a little bit of recap. As you guys know, we didn't do the reaction video last night. I had several people that messaged me really wanting to talk about the show because we had set some sample criteria and we'd asked for some sample ratings, and then we were going to talk about what could change the rating. And I'm going to give you guys some boxes that got checked last night. Before I do that, I do want to give a special shout out to Valar. Thank you, Valar, for that super chat. And the comment is, hello 99 Army, Kill Steph, Emmy Kell, Sweet Tommy, sponsors, patrons, and of course, all the super chatters. And the super chatter is going to be out in full effect over the next couple weeks because we know how heated the debate gets around The Walking Dead, and there's just a lot of conversations. But I appreciate you guys being here to talk about Fear. I think Mike just said a couple minutes ago, looks like Fear gets a bad rep. So I'd ask you guys last night when we were talking about the spoilers. The spoilers were very good except for we got information the dude's name was Glenn and it was Quinn. But that's what happens sometimes. They're not 100%, but they're pretty close. I mean, the storyline was very good. So last night when we talked about what we thought the show was, what could change the show, and just based on the spoilers, and I thought this was fun to do, I gave it an average. I said, look, I'm not super excited about this, and I do have to tell you, after watching the episode, I came in, I gave it a 7, and just based on entertainment value, the story, all of those things, it was a 7. I didn't change it based on that. But I did give you guys some other criteria that I said I could bump this up to a 7, 7.5, 8.5, 9, 9.25. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to give the episode a solid 9. A 9. I'm going from a 7 to a 9 based on some of the things that we talked about. And as we get into the hidden clues and a few of the things that I was looking for that were just so blatantly obvious and cool and fun, I actually raised it a little bit more. I'm going to talk about some of my criteria as we get through this video. So hold tight. Don't revolt just yet. So last night's episode really started with the videos of, June wanting to see what John had. So we get a little bit more character development where we see June is trying to find... Hold on, Legend. Hold on. I'm going to give you the validation 1 second because I knew it would come out. It's like, how the hell did you go from a 7 to a 9? I'm going to change a few of your scores. That's really my goal. If you start out a 7, by the end of this stream, I'm going to get you to a 7.5 or an 8. If you start at 8, I'm going to get you to an 8.5. Maria Favada's 8.5. Maria, we're going to get you over 9 just in a couple minutes here. So let me talk about some of the things I thought were very well done. June is weak, and she admitted how weak she was. And we saw that with some of the watching the video for strength, for power, and then talking to John, talking about how you could have been strong, you waited on me, but I can't do that. So I thought that was kind of important. But also, I think there's more to this Althea thing than meets the eye. And that's what's going to put you guys over the hurdle. That's the part I think they sort of gave us a little bit of that carrot in front of us. One of the criterias that I asked for last night, I said, they're going to have something so coincidental that we're scratching our head saying, that's just silly. That just doesn't happen. Kind of like the walker falling and freeing Alicia. Kind of like Morgan getting on top of the car and the walkers didn't get to him. Something that just makes us say, come on. We're smarter than that. So last night, it was the radio signal. It was the battery dying in the radio. You knew it was going to happen, and you knew it was going to happen just as they were about to talk to Morgan. So based on that silliness in writing, I thought, okay, I'm not going to give them points just for that. But I am going to table that because that is something they do every single week, and I'm starting to get into the habit of it. But then I also talked about a unique walker situation, and there were two of them that were something that I don't recall seeing again in The Walking Dead. And this is why I gave it a full half a point for this. When they were driving, Sarah was driving the truck and hit the walker and got points, and it was perfectly centered. That was worth something. To me, that was like, hold on, I'm into this story, but the writers are doing all these other things just to get us away from the story. So I think a lot of times, and this is why I want to do this in a spoiler, we just look at Fear the Walking Dead on the surface. Mike Reiser, I think you hit the nail on the head a little bit ago when you said Fear the Walking Dead gets a bad rap. It's because a lot of times we watch the show and we don't go in and dig down to every single clue. So I thought that was an important scene. Also, there was another walker scene when Althea got attacked where the walker was stuck in like either the swamp, a tar pit, I don't know what it was, and his leg just broke off and then he got to her. So I thought both of those things were just real neat special effects that we don't typically see. So I gave it a few bonus points just for that. The next thing is, I also said, if there is an obvious callback to The Walking Dead, which they have done every single week, then I'm going to give it bonus points, because those are the things, they're not just Easter eggs, they're things that the writers are doing to get us to look for them every single week, as opposed to sitting back eating popcorn saying, all right, yeah, what's going to happen with Althea? Yeah, okay. What's going to happen with the meds? You know, who are they going to meet? How are they going to get attacked? They're giving us all these different subplots. So the callback, and you're right, Drama King, the radio was the callback. And that was where Morgan said, someone did the same thing for me once, where Morgan is, and then he said, until he no longer could. So the fact that Rick waited around in season 1 for Morgan, and then now Morgan is doing the exact same thing for Rick, I thought that was a huge callback. I thought it was incredible how they're showing the connection between Rick, who's exiting the show, and Morgan carrying the torch. There's got to be a connection back between those two. That conversation, I'm hoping that there's a conversation. Rick and Morgan on a walkie. Something has to happen between Rick and Morgan before the end of the show. They're just setting it up way, way too often. So I thought some good bonus points for that as well. And Casey, you're right. Showing the strength of their friendship, no doubt about it. Morgan left. He wants to come back. He wants to get a group of people back. He wants to lead a group back like Rick kind of did. Well, and maybe he doesn't want to. He feels like he has to. So, bonus points for that. The next thing, and this doesn't get bonus points, but to me, this was the core of the show. Now, for you, if you missed this, I'm going to add this element of the Althea situation and something that I think could happen. DJ Low-Key, it's a little bit out of character for Morgan to do that, taking people back to Alexandria, but he also does seem to qualify them a little bit, at least the best he can. Like, he doesn't want to take dangerous people, but I think he feels a little bit more comfortable with Wendell and Sarah the more he talks to them, and the fact that they are dropping off. He's kind of testing them along the way to see what they're all about. So, Althea can't talk to them. The next best thing is the tape. So, Drama King, go ahead and cue it up. The tapes were not only important in the first half of the season, but they're also, Althea told us last night, it's not just about their story. It's her story as well. And it's her story that not only is she telling because she's the one holding the camera, but also her interactions. And something just struck me as extremely odd. And if you guys agree with this, then feel free to chime in. I think there's a big connection between Althea and Abraham. Not just the fact that she interviewed. I think there's more to it. I think there's a relationship or and by relationship I mean a relative. I'm not totally ready to go out on the limb and say that Althea might be Abraham's little sister. But when it said Abraham and the doctor, this could have been someone that she brought along. And maybe Abraham gave her the truck or gave her all those weapons. I mean, she's a journalist, but yet she has this vehicle that just screams out Abraham, right? That there's a connection there, and she has this tape. So the more I see this tape and how important it is, and she was willing to sit there and die for that vehicle. Yes, the tapes are important, but I think it's the same thing. Julie, I don't even know if Althea's military. But I would not be surprised to see a tape and see Abraham divulge that a little bit later on. So because of that, exactly, Deborah, because of Abraham's connection to Texas and she's there, these are the little things that I think will escalate this episode later on. You know, where we started out with a 7, and I said, okay, if there's some obvious things, if there's some cool Walker things, but if they plant the seed for the future, and we go back and say, hey, wait a minute, remember season 4, episode 12, when that was real important to her? That could ultimately, I think, make this a little bit more of a big deal. Okay, another question I asked last night and said I would give a full bonus point to my ranking if the Sharpie chick turned out to be a real villain. And we ask, is she somebody that's salvageable? Is she somebody that is just crazy? Or is she a hardcore villain? I think she's a hardcore villain. And whether you caught this or not, she's going back and forth and she's sabotaging the water. And when Althea got sick, she got sick because June had a canteen. And June emptied the canteen and Althea opened the bottle of water and downed it. And when she downed the water there, I was like, man, she's drinking a lot of water. But then shortly after that, she got sick. So she's doing stuff that we've not seen. She is the opposite of the people. She saw these people in the truck, and they're leaving supplies, and they're doing all of these things. But she is the opposite, and she is going to be very, there's just a diabolic nature to her. So I'm giving it a full bonus point because of how evil she is and what she's doing with the walkers and poisoning people. And she sees that as like, she's got like some governor stuff working in the background. All right, we got Jimmy's Jammin with the super chat, and Jimmy says, kills. I'm on board with this. She has great one-liners too, just like Abraham. So, absolutely, Jimmy. Jimmy, I'm going to go back to your super chat in just a couple minutes because I do want to develop that thought a little bit more because I'm going to ask for some additional ratings. I'm going to ask for some, what you think about the episode after Talking Dead and after we dissect it and talk about some of the clues. But Abraham, Althea, I think there's a connection there. So Drama King wants to know, Kills, do you think there's more like her? I don't. I think she is, I think she's a one-person wrecking crew. But it would be tough to deal with if there was. Poisoning people's water. I mean, this is just she changed mentally in a hurry. You know, it usually takes fighting over supplies. Here's what's interesting, and also I would give bonus points for this. The Saviors, other groups that we run into, they kill people for supplies. Now, I'm not saying Sharpie Lady is not killing them ultimately for supplies, because that could be her motive at the end of it. But it appears that she's just killing them because she doesn't like that they're helping humans. And, you know, there's no doubt that I think people could see her as an evil version of Michonne. And there are correlations with, you know, Michonne having the pet walkers and her taking one here, taking another one there, freeing one after they do whatever she needs to have done, and then, you know, she's got the next one. Yeah, E-Beach, a backstory on this one would be very interesting. And maybe we'll get bits and pieces of it. All right, but hold on now. I'm not through with some of the things that we're going to give points for. I've got a couple more that I thought were extremely obvious. I mean, it did have a little bit of a Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs type of feel to it, didn't it? Kind of the poison apple. Also, there was a interesting pop culture reference. And I don't know where this came from, but maybe over the last year. And I don't want this to sound completely like random things. Okay, do you guys remember somewhere in the last year where the whole "you got this" and the fist bump thing kind of came about? It's like you didn't hear it, and then all of a sudden you heard it, and then you heard it, and then you heard it. And now, to almost every person that is in a dire situation or a difficult situation, you hear, "we got this," or "you got this." Just kind of popped up out of nowhere. So it happened last night, and for a show that is supposed to be a few years back, Al says to June, "you got this." Holmes says that girl is poison. Like poison, deadly, moving in slow. Looking for a mellow fella like DeVoe. I don't think so. I don't think she's like Belle Biv DeVoe poison. But one of the things that they do, I think, is kind of cool. The writer's just throwing things out there. They're just throwing it out there and seeing what sticks. And it's good. So, if you thought the most obvious storyline last night, or the thing that you're like scratching your head saying there's no way this would happen, was the walkie-talkie battery dying. I got one that can one-up that. There was something that happened that was way more coincidental, and I gave this a full half a point. This is what got me up to like 9. This got my rating up. And let me see if any of you can find out the far too coincidental happening in last night's episode. Not the Jack kick out. The Jack kick out was okay. I mean, she was too weak to kick the walker, but boy, she kicked the hell out of that Jack and smashed the walker. Nope, that was good. But that was the big thing. Oh, Toledo, I am absolutely giving points for senseless entertainment. Yes, there you go. Lark Song got it. No doubt about it. The meds in the bus. The augmentin in the bus. You got to be freaking kidding me. Althea is on her deathbed. She got poisoned by Sharpie Lady by drinking the bad water. And then she wants her truck back, sends June out looking. There's no meds on there, but there just happens to be a bus to the side, which has the medicine on it. Loved it. And here's why, Toledo, because the show is not super serious like The Walking Dead. And I'm so cool with that. I only need one serious Walker show that's out there. I don't need Fear the Walking Dead to be like that. So, it's not for everybody, but for me, every week I'm looking for something that is either comical, either a one-liner, either something that just, okay, yeah, that happened, move on, and just kind of get to it. That's it. It's not quite slapstick horror, but you got to admit, if they do that, if they do a little bit of spoof, if they do a little bit of parody in there, it's a little bit easier to digest when some of the other people start to die off. They weren't killing Al at that point, Shane. And Al's right back with us. No problem. So, because I was looking for it, and the writers aren't trying to hide it any longer, I'm going to tell you, every week, we can probably, when we do the spoiler, say, there's going to be 3 or 4 extra criteria in there. One, they're going to do things with walkers that we haven't seen before. They have to. They can't give you the same old boring walkers. The next thing is some kind of unique death. The third is clearly coincidental writing. It's going to make it hard to kill some of these people too because of what they've already lived through. And we've covered most of it, but people you know. Any additional thought to that other than she's just going to follow them around, stalk them, pop out of nowhere, continue to take people? So I thought it was interesting that she wrote plural. Could it make you think that someone in that group is next? Let me jump over to Super Chat. We got Bryn Gilligan says, Sharpie Lady seems to think walkers are superior to humans. Said to Purvis Walker, you made them weak, Purvis. I think Purvis was a good trucker who was leaving supply boxes, and she killed them. I agree. But the additional person, because what she did is she wrote all of that stuff on Purvis's face. So she knew he was leaving the boxes. And then people you know, as opposed to a person that you know, she's going to target some more people. And I don't think the poison water is the only way she's going to go about it. Timothy Lamour says, I think it's Jim, right? Is it Jim the brewer? You know, we could throw that out there. I think Luciana is going to be the next to die. But let me just throw it up for the group. Next to die, Jim or Luciana? No, Toledo. Let me explain. You bring up a very good point. So Toledo says, so coincidental writing was bad in the first 3 seasons, but coincidental writing is good in season 4. Not sure to make of that. That's a great question. And I'll tell you why. It's because, in my opinion, in the first 3 seasons, they weren't trying to make the effort. They were trying to be a serious drama, and the writing was bad. And now they're trying to get us to look for it. They're trying to plant the seeds. I don't think the writing is that bad. I think it's just they're making it a different style of show. They're transitioning it. When I saw John in season 1, I thought this is going to have a little different wrinkle to it. You got a cowboy out there. You got, they're trying to bring back some of the one-liners. You introduce Al's character. There's just some things that if we go back and sort of look at how the season's played out, other than, you know, you had to kill off the blaster in the past. I mean, Nick had to go. Madison had to go. But I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these other deaths happen in some off-the-wall kind of ways. And I do think the writers, you know, writers are kind of like, well, they're sort of like athletes. They can get in a rhythm. And I think they're in a rhythm right now. They sort of know what the fan base is looking for every week. Yeah, I don't see Strand for a while. I think Luciana, then June, and then Jim. We'll go with that. No. Nick absolutely did want to leave, but, you know, after Nick left and they knew he was going to leave, could have been the same situation. That might have been why they killed off Madison. I'm just catching up on a couple comments here, everybody. So, I'm going to throw this out there to the group. How many people, and be honest with me here, how many people were really, really disappointed that June found the medicine and made it back to Althea? How many people were up late last night saying, oh my God, that was I can't believe they put the medicine there. That just ruined the whole show. I'm not watching it again. That was too obvious writing. Anybody? No, wasn't a big deal. How many people a few weeks back were really upset that that walker that Charlie tried to feed herself to fell off right before the water was about to drown them? How many people after the Alicia Charlie episode said, you know what, this is just too silly. I'm not watching the next week. I'm not watching another episode of Fear the Walking Dead. That I can agree with, drama. June should have punched Al in the face. You lied to me. Bam. All right, now here. Take your meds. And maybe Toledo, you can help us out with this. Toledo, how did you feel about that walker falling off and helping save them? Yeah, a lot of people were relieved they were saved. As Stoner said, the wife said, whatever. It was crazy, right? But Toledo, it was convenient, could have been handled better. But you watched the next week, right? And the next week when you watched, am I the only one that saw Morgan kind of tap dancing on that roof saying, there is no way. If those walkers are hungry enough, they will climb up the... Look, I know it was a bigger car. Hold on. It was a little bit bigger. Do you guys see the picture that we have in the background? Althea is literally right in front of the bumper of that truck. Althea's head goes above the truck. If Althea reached out across the roof of that truck, she would probably get halfway across that truck. Now, if you put 20 Altheas all the way around that truck, I'm sorry. So, Morgan escaped it, didn't he? But everybody came back and watched next week. So what we've been able to do, and this is why I said where the writers are starting to get their groove. The writers on this show know what we're willing to accept, and the writers on The Walking Dead know what we're willing to accept. And I think that's just what you're going to have to deal with. Like every week, there's going to be some obvious circumstance where you think it's dire straits and then they get out of it. Well, we do accept a lot, but we watch a show that is about the undead. Eating you, legend. Okay, it was an SUV, but not... Hey, I'll give you that. But not one of those walkers was like a former guy that was a basketball player. It might have been 6'6", with a little longer arms, a little bit taller. So you give me as an SUV, and you give me the reasons why the truck's higher, then I'll give you the coincidental fact that, oh, well, none of those walkers could have been a little bit taller. And then you're probably going to tell me, okay, well, yeah, they got bad posture because they're missing a couple bones and they're slumped over. You know, you go back and forth with this. All I'm saying is that Morgan was out there for hours. Those walkers were hungry enough, they were going to eat him. But that wasn't what the scene was about. It wasn't about Morgan dying. It was about Morgan surviving. It's Texas and everyone's short in Texas. I don't think so. Isn't everyone like tall in Texas? So, Stimpy Girl, exactly my point. She says, I find myself not caring about the minor stuff. We get together, we can talk about the minor stuff, but there's more of an immunity to it in Fear the Walking Dead, and I think it's becoming more comical. And I'm going to say it's almost I think it's a touch of brilliance. So, real quick question for the group, and then we'll rate the episode again. We're on episode 12. And I need you to fill in the blank for Fear the Walking Dead. And if you can't, you can't. Just for Fear the Walking Dead. Not The Walking Dead. If blank dies, I stop watching the show. And like I said, if there's no answer to this question, then you don't have to answer. If blank dies, I stop watching the show. The SWAT truck. I think Mike, there you go, Mike. Fluff says Quinn. Sorry. Nobody. Legend says Morgan, of course. Really? So I want all of you to think about that. Because now there's a lot of people starting to say, okay, I'm not stopping. I get it. There doesn't have to be an answer to the question. There doesn't have to be a person. If John dies next week, I'm not going to stop watching the show. And I think the intent of the writers is to get away from one or two people carrying the show. Morgan's doing a great job. Alicia's doing a great job. But if they can make it more about some of these other things that we look for, it's not just about a character carrying the show. There's always going to be some people that act better than other people, and the story's going to be written better for some people than others. But that's the challenge. If you work on set, your challenge every week is to not have people quit watching your show. I would. Toledo, I would be sad. If Alicia died, that would be tough because she's such a good part of that show right now. But no, I'm going to watch it. We're going to watch it and talk about it. We might not have as good stuff to talk about. But I do like shows where one person doesn't carry the group. Just a real quick example, and then we'll do our rating. How many people saw Avengers Infinity Wars? And if you did, please type your favorite Avenger. Just type it real quick. From the movie, who's your favorite? It's a two-part question. Whoa, 15 times. That's a lot. Thor. Thor. A lot of Thor fans. Iron Man, Thanos, Black Panther. Spider-Man. Yeah, a lot of good choices here. A lot of really good choices. Black Panther, Rocket, Loki. Some really good choices here. There's going to be another Avengers movie that comes out next year. How many of you are going to go watch the next Avengers movie? If you are, just give me a quick yes. I am, definitely. There's no doubt this last one was so good. I'm going to watch the next one. Yeah, hell yeah, me, yeah. All right, I see what you guys are doing here. Okay, big spoiler alert. A lot of those characters you guys typed in there died in the last movie. Sorry to tell you, they're gone. If you haven't watched it by now, I'm sorry. You should have watched it by now. So I'm calling your bluff. They're gone at this point. So if somebody dies on The Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead, then you'll come back and watch. Come on, people. People just like to say what they like to say. I'm calling your bluff. All right, let me get to the super chat real quick. Got Jimmy's Jam. He says, Kills, do you think Crazy Lady was responsible for setting the whole scenario last night? Not the whole scenario. She definitely is responsible for changing some of the road signs and poisoning people and getting them lost and getting them to go back and forth. Yeah, she's trying to cause chaos. She's like Thanos. Actually, I'm probably just going to call her Sharpie Thanos. She's got her own set of evil. She's trying to get rid of half the population here. All right, look, I shouldn't do this, and especially shouldn't do it live. I shouldn't trick you guys with two-part questions. But, you know, when you threaten to stop watching a show or talk about Toledo, whatever, man. I'm gonna start calling you Epic instead of Toledo. There's a lot of reasons why shows lose ratings. One, when the show got out of the gates, people were hyped. It was the next Walking Dead. We found out that wasn't true. And they gradually lost an audience that I think, quite frankly, they're starting to get back. Because there's a lot of people who came back this season. That's all I'm saying. And I would say that most of the people in this chat, even as critical as you are sometimes for the show, you still watch the show. Otherwise, how would you know what to talk about? Number one reading, shows lose rating, cable prices. You can't really argue with that. It's a catch-22. And Look, I'm not here to save Walking Dead souls. I'm not here to preach you all back into the show. You either watch the show or you don't watch the show. You like the show, you don't like the show. You like the conversation around the show, you don't like the conversation around the show. I mean, we're never going to beg people to watch something. It's either it's your cup of tea or it's not your cup of tea. And I will say sometimes for me, it has been a chore. Season 3 for Fear was honestly a chore, and I figured I would give it another shot, and I like what they're doing with it. Sometimes The Walking Dead is a chore. But it's a story that I want to be told. It's not a story that I don't want to know what happens next. And then, we use crutches like, well, I watch for this person, I don't watch for this person. If your favorite character is Rick and Rick dies, you may not watch anymore. Or if it's open-ended, you may watch. And I think sometimes the concept of these characters being alive. Alicia wasn't in the show last night, but a lot of people watched the show. And they didn't watch it for Alicia because they knew she wasn't going to be in the show. And to be perfectly honest with you, there wasn't a whole lot last night that happened that even told us where Alicia is and what she's doing next. So, you're watching a show and your favorite character is sometimes somebody else only because of the concept of that fictitious person still being alive. It seems kind of weak to me. I think a better answer is sometimes you're just not going to satisfy everybody. You can look at a show and you can pick it apart, or you can look at a show and you can talk about what you appreciated about that show. And I could do this stream and say, there's 2 ways I could have approached this stream. And I could have said, it sucked, it was crap, there's no way that would happen. Did you see how she was kicking that jack and it crushed the walker? She could barely free herself and she was weak, but yeah, she managed to do that. Or you can just kind of be entertained by it. And by entertained by it, you can say, that was kind of cool. How they set that up and only to watch it fall. But, it's not going to be for everybody. But in closing with that, what I will say is this season, many people have gotten involved in our streams and in our chat and that were not here last season or the season before. So I can't judge it overall by who likes the show. I will also tell you I've gotten more positive feedback about the producers of the show. They're like, man, those 2 guys are brilliant. And how they speak about the show and what they're trying to do and some of the hidden things they're putting in. I think there's some appreciation for that out there. But they also, I do feel like they do have to undo some of the negativity from Season 3. Because I didn't think Season 1 was that bad. And Season 2, I was interested for about half of it. So for a season and a half, I was right there with you. But then the second half of 2 and 3, I just wasn't feeling it. That was definitely a chore for me. The Catnap says, I've seen jacks falling by themselves. Yeah, but the question I would say is, have you seen them falling by themselves with a walker underneath them that's about 2 inches from eating you? That would be a little bit different. And Gee74 says the new writers of Fear are doing a good job. And maybe at this point they're doing a good job and not a great job. Or maybe they're doing a great job and it takes a little bit of time. And the last thing I'm going to say, and you guys can, you can agree or disagree. When I binge watched the first few episodes of The Walking Dead, I didn't like it. When I binge watched the first few episodes, and where's Valar? Valar, close your ears. You're not going to want to hear this.
When I binge watched the first few episodes of Game of Thrones, I didn't like it. It took me till about 3/4 of Game of Thrones to give it more of a chance. And I really started liking it around season 2, end of season 2. And by the time I got to about 4, I liked Game of Thrones more than I liked The Walking Dead. So, Fear got the boost from The Walking Dead. It was name. And a lot of people disagree with me because some of you here liked Fear. I didn't. And I thought they tried and they just didn't do a good job. They just tried to tell the story too fast. And I get it. I understand why, because we've seen a lot of it. But this is the first season that I've enjoyed Fear. Like as a show, not just season 1. Season 1 was okay, but I don't think I enjoyed it. I loved it. I love Fear this season. They got me. They can do silly, stupid stuff. It doesn't even bother me. Because I'm just not looking for it anymore. All right, everybody. So, with that being said, we got a potential baddie. The Sharpie lady could be the next big villain. Already looks more evil than Mel. Mel was a softie. We've got crazy coincidence and convenient writing. We've got a mission. They're on a mission, and they're wishing someone could cure their lonely condition. They are going on their way to Virginia. So there is a quest here. It's not just about finding people and regrouping and doing this. Morgan is going to lead this group to Virginia somehow. So we know what the end game is. Now, how they get there, different story. So with all those things, from the time that you initially came in and said, it's a 6, it's a 7, it's an 8. We've talked about it for about 50 minutes. Give me another rating. And if it's the same, it's the same. But we've analyzed it a little bit more. We've recapped it. We've reacted to it. Give me your score. Toledo comes in 6.5. Do I have a 7? Do I have a 7? 7. Going once. Going twice. We got an 8. 8. Do I hear an 8.5? Anybody got an 8.5? So Timothy Lamour says 12. Bumblebee Brown, 7.5. Graylin with an 8. 8.3. Star Guitar Goddess, 8. 7.1. 8. Okay, an 8. 8. 9. 7s. 9s. Bumped up to an 8. So a few 8s and 9s. Chosen One says 9.4. And part of the recap is twofold. One, I want to talk about it, but number two, the comments and the back and forth and the debate. I don't want to just give it all to you one-sided. And for those of you that do constantly say, I'm Walking Dead fanboy, I gave it a 7 just by reading the spoilers. So I came in low. I wasn't coming out, and if you guys remember last night, I said, I think this is going to be one of the more vanilla episodes. This is not something that I'm looking forward to. A few more scores going through. Next week is going to be a lot more eye candy. We get the gator. We get the wheelchair devices. But if that's all there is, it's going to be a little disappointing because, then they're leading with their big play. If you show all the good scenes in the trailer, it's actually going to lessen the score. So I think next week could be one of those things where you go and say, hey, this is going to be a 9. This is going to be good. But it's still got to deliver. I like that, Maria. I hope the Gator has the Sharpie lady for supper. Too soon. She's going to be much, much more evil before she gets the exit. So a lot of the people even came in, and I'd say overall, it's probably, we saw some 9s, we saw some 8.5s, we saw some 6s, 6.5. So 8, 8.5, probably a good average somewhere. We can say 8.25 if you guys want, I don't care. Somewhere along those lines. Before we stopped doing Fear the Walking Dead streams last season, we had people in here, like many people, giving Season 3 episode 3s and 4s. So, if one of the more average episodes in Fear this season is getting even 6.5s on the low end, and the majority are giving it 7s and 8s, I'm good. And that's that confidence we talked about with the writers. That they can take a step back and throw a villain in there that doesn't have to be all evil and do everything in 1 week to make us hate her. She set the stage. That poisoning, that the water, you didn't know at the time when she's drinking the water what's making her sick. And now you know that anybody that she sabotages, society's not progressing. Take what you need, leave what you don't. It's so typical of the Walking Dead franchise. You get a little bit of hope, and it's ripped away from you. We got these people out there doing good deeds that could protect this water, that could keep all the supplies for themselves, could drink all the water themselves. And now it's just being sabotaged, and people are dying because of this evil. And the writers are willing just to give you a piece of that and not even show you how totally evil she is, but just a little bit. And then you saw a little bit more at the end. We didn't love Quinn, but in the 5 minutes, we were willing to accept Quinn. I mean, he came back. The dude is willing to join. He's ready to go to Virginia with them. And he gets munched. Not fair. I mean, she just had the walker devour an innocent person. So if that's kind of the lead of evil, who knows what is lurking around the corner for her, what she's capable of doing next. All right, everybody, we are at 57 minutes. This is a Fear recap and reaction. I appreciate all of your scores last night, hanging around for the spoilers. Sorry we didn't do the reaction last night. I think it could have been a little bit more heated right after the show. We've had about 24 hours to think about it. Once again, we don't always agree on the ratings. We're never going to always agree. You get a big room full of people. But we are passionate about The Walking Dead. We love the show. Could some things be better? Absolutely. Could some things be worse? They were. And we're starting to see a little bit more of that developing. And we come back every week, and we got something to talk about. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate everything that you guys do. I do have one more thing that I do have to say to everybody, and it is a very special announcement. So I want to thank everybody in this room. I want to thank everybody for your chat, your conversation, your debate, from video game tutorials to pack openings to RPGs to strategy and Empires and Allies, Dawn of the Titans to working with gaming companies to promote their games. So many different things that we've done over the last almost 4 years. September 18th will be our 4-year anniversary on YouTube. And it when I did my first tutorials and doing some Looney Tunes runners for Zynga, when those videos got a couple thousand views, I thought it was like the greatest thing in the world. It was, wow, we got something in common here. We're talking about video games, and people want a little bit of help and a little bit of advice. And then other gaming companies started reaching out and said, hey, would you do this? Would you do that? And I had some fun with them. And, there were some benefits to doing that. And then I got involved in The Walking Dead and absolutely loved the fans, the community, the people, everything that you guys do, and the chats. And look, we've done predictions, we've done spoilers, we've done hardcore theories, we've done the 5-minute videos that are out there, and we'll do some more from time to time. But the live streams were just a perfect situation. The live streams, The Walking Dead, and this group. And that just made it extremely fun. So I want to thank everybody for channel growth. 75,000 is a very big deal for me. I would not be talking if it weren't for each and every one of you. Next week, we're going to do a 75,000 sub celebration giveaway. So 75 could be an important number. So keep that in mind. We will do our Walking Dead stream tomorrow night, so stay tuned for that. We'll continue to make this announcement. But I did want to put this in this video because it just happened today, and thank each and every person for everything that you guys do. The patrons that support this channel, the sponsors that support the channel, the 999 Army, through your conversations and through your interaction. Those of you that watch the ads when the ads pop up. Those of you that have bought the gear, we sold a ton of gear. So thanks, Fear the 999 Army and the 999 Army shirts. And those of you that are a part of our Walking Dead 999 Army page and contribute and participate in that. You guys are absolutely phenomenal. So thank you. If you guys could all do me one big favor, give me a 999 because I want to do as many shout-outs as we possibly can. We will be here at 9:30 tomorrow night talking about The Walking Dead. We will be back here on Wednesday night. There will be no Thursday stream. I'm going to be watching a dude and a Terry Fader puppet show. Should be a lot of fun. And then we'll do some stuff over the weekend too. So super shout-out time. I want to say hello to Holly B., also Maria Favada, Paul Eagle, Star Guitar Goddess, Diane Estes, Anna Demo, Ron Burgundy Moore, Julie McGuire. Sorry, Julie, I don't know why I call you Julia from time to time. I forget. My bad. But thank you so much, Julie. And Julie's one of my gaming partners, too. I don't know why I do that. Lee George, thanks. Cammie Howling Wolf. Tim Lamora, thank you. My moderators, Emmy, Steph, Tommy, Kells. Awesome group of moderators. Zane Games, thank you. Shane Hassan, Michael Curie, Samantha Coombs, DJ Low Key, Graylin, Toledo, thank you. Liz Burnett, Gina Crockett, thanks for making it tonight. Sorry you stood me up last night. It's okay. I forgive you. Candy Z, thank you. Stefanella, Dawn of the Frank, appreciate you, man. Kelly Golonzinier, Walani, Drama King, New York City. Check those tapes. Tapes say 75,000, Drama King. Viola McGowan, thank you. Stimpy Girl, love this place. I love it too. I love each and every one of you. Appreciate your passion, your interaction. Nate Oz, DJ Domstott, Home Flaherty, Sergeant Chosen One. Thank you, Laura Butler. Appreciate that. Wait a minute. Hold on. I missed the super chat. Oh, sorry. You know what? I was in super mode. Valar just told me she was going to pull 1,000 subs if I didn't acknowledge her super chat. Kills, do you think season finale will show the tape? I think... I'm not sure. I'm trying to think this through in my mind. I initially said I thought the season finale would have them closer to Virginia. It needs to be something dramatic. So I'm okay. I'm okay with that. But I'm not sure. I need to see what happens the next 2 weeks and to see how much kind of highway they can chew up and how close they can get to Virginia. I really thought that they would be closer there, and there needs to be some closure to Morgan and Rick at some point, or some interaction, or a setup for next season. But could the mystery of the tapes, could we get a little bit more Abraham? Could Abraham and Althea be related? That might be a good not a cliffhanger, but a good transition. It's like, oh, that's why the tapes were so important. That's why her truck was so important. Let me kind of mull it over a little bit more, because I think it's a great question, but it's kind of a question that I really haven't thought about the season finale yet, even though I think I made a prediction that doesn't seem feasible right now. Because I don't think they're going to get to Virginia quite as fast. And if you remember, when we did our predictions about 3 weeks ago, the question that we said is, what could prevent them from getting to Virginia? And we said they could be split up, natural disasters, all of the above, and all of the above is exactly what's happening right now. So they haven't even met back up with Alicia and Charlie. The whole group is not back together. John and Strand. So even if it takes 3 episodes to get everybody back together, I don't think that's going to be time to get them to Virginia. So I would lean more toward the season finale as either Sharpie Lady killing a major character or the tapes becoming more important. I'll give you those 2 options, and I'll kind of pull away from my prediction. Okay. And with that, we are at 1 hour and 5 minutes. Jimmy Coonan. I'm going to do a few more shout-outs. You guys don't mind, I'll hang out for just a couple more minutes. Keon West. And if I missed you in a shout-out earlier, if you guys could just type it again so I can get to them. Legend83. Also, the Super Chatters. Everybody Super Chatted. Valar, Bren, Jimmy's Jammin. Thank you. Appreciate you guys jumping into the chat tonight. And absolutely. We got Drake saying, make sure you guys hit the like button. Phoenix Rising, thank you for being here. Bumblebee Brown. Fluff Salisbury. Yep. Julie McGuire says, Def Leppard is my favorite band. Are you getting it? Armageddon it. There you go, Julie. That's for me messing up your name earlier. E-Beach. What's up? E-Beach. Thank you. And we will be Walking Dead tomorrow. So be ready. Be ready for another one of those topics going to make you go, things that make you go, Did I? I'm not sure. Kel, if I rapped, it was just kind of spontaneous. Thank you, Deborah Johnson. Michael Curie, awesome stream tonight. Can't wait for tomorrow. Me either. I do like Fear this season. But, you know, nothing like talking about The Walking Dead. No, it wasn't Bust a Move. It was something else. Oh, it was Bust a Move. Yeah, it was. Don't question. Don't question Kel. She'll be all over it. Good night, Cuervo Queen. All right. I think the crowd is rolling out. I've done as many shout-outs as we can do. So, and as many rap songs as is in my playlist. I'm burnt, everybody. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow night. This is like the outtakes, I guess. You know, when you hang out like 5 extra minutes, you get all the outtakes. But we're live anyway. All right. I'll see you all tomorrow night, 9:30. Have a good night. Thanks, everybody. Peace.